Hello, and welcome to Geeks Assemble. There's only three of us today, so just a few people have assembled today. But we're going to be talking about it's gone down in history as a classic sci-fi stroke horror movie of the era. We will be talking about the 1979 movie Alien. I've got a few questions what I'd like to ask these two people who have joined me. So to begin with, what would be your favourite moments of the movie and sort of favourite characters? I mean, it was only a small cast, but go ahead. Let's say what you have to say on that question.
Well, I would say that's an impossible question to answer because this is a movie that's full of unexpected plot twists, and there's no way going into it you would know what was going to happen next. That's that's why it's a brilliant masterpiece of horror, because you can't pick a moment. I mean, you don't see any of this coming, and it's a very, very slow setup. I mean, nothing really happens for about an hour. It's brilliantly directed. It's not. It's a lot of people that like the series criticize this one as being a bit slow, but that's because the second film is an action adventure picture, and this is more of a suspenseful horror film set out in space. So it is sci-fi, but it's more horror than that. And I could not pick a moment. I mean, obviously everybody's gonna say the bit on at the lunch table, but I mean there's too many other twists. I mean, throughout, even up until the end. One of my favorite bits is, okay, this isn't working. We're going to get the hell out of here and blow up the ship. Screw the company. And then, of course, two more of them get killed, and she's on her own with a cat. And, okay, well, I did it. I got you. She says, I got you, you son of a bitch. And guess what? Nuh-uh. The alien's in the shuttle. So it's just like, I mean, there's so many plot twists, and it seems like you're never going to be done with this. And it's amazing. It's an amazing suspenseful film.
I really
think that the Nostromo's crew was amazing. I thought that was really cool. I love the beacon in space calling out to them, drawing them to this derelict and stuff. That was crazy. The planet was bizarre. I mean, it was just, the whole thing was amazing. I loved Ian Holm. What? Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that the success of this motion picture also is the design, because if it had been a silly looking bugger, then it wouldn't have worked. Instead, they went with the brilliant H.R. Giger. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I'm pretty sure both is correct, but it is what do you call it? His Necronom 4 or something. It features biomechanical artwork is what he called it, and it's just such a unique design. And they managed to create the prosthetic and use a very slim actor for some scenes, and it's just so convincing, and it's so unlike anything you've ever seen before. It doesn't look like a man in a suit, so it's that, and the whole birth process, the way it's a parasite, it uses somebody, and it's an amazing accomplishment what they came up with.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, I totally agree with what Tim says. There's that much to choose from in this film. It as you say, is a classic. But for me, as you said, the design of the set, that's the set with the giant alien species in the chair or whatever, where John Hurt's walking along it. That is just breathtaking. And they say that when he slips through the mist and there are all the eggs, that's a brilliant moment as well. And the wonderful Ian Holm as Ash.
That's what I was going to say.
When he finally flips his lid and realises he's an android, that scene is just out of this world, shall we say.
Mind-blowing.
Because you would never have, on first time seeing this movie, you would never see that coming at all.
I get surprised still. I mean, that Ian Holm played it well, especially as the android. He decapitated head doing the chat was amazing.
Yeah, your first thought through that whole scene when he attacks her is, what the hell is he doing? Because you see the bit of green running down his face, and he's trying to literally stuff a magazine down her throat, and you're like, what is this all about? And he's kind of knocked her unconscious a bit. The other two come in, and you don't even realize what's going on when Parker hits him over the head with whatever it was, and his head flies back. You're like, OMG, he's not even what is he? And it's only because Parker, it's a robot. Then oh man, who saw that coming? Who saw that coming at all? He knows what's going on the whole time. He allowed the John Hurt character to be infected. He knew what was going on, and he was just waiting for it to happen because he's been told by this company. And these guys are not space explorers. They're like space truckers or oil riggers or whatever. Yeah. That's what
the miners or something. Yeah,
they're just there to do, because you have to have a human component on this ship that goes out and does all this mining. And they were woken up early to go investigate this thing. And this science officer, he knew what was happening. And that's what you find out at that moment. You're like, wow. There's another little scene right before that when she's in the room because she's got access to the main computer. And she doesn't even know he's there. She leans back, and he's just right there. And you're like, oh, shit. What the fuck?
He's back up. I know. It was crazy.
Well, this question might be void now because my next question was there any weak points in this movie?
There are two, I would say, not very good effects. Just two, though. And in a movie that's got amazing effects. I mean, even there's so many surprises. You see the alien born. That's amazing. That's like, whoa. And then, then not a few minutes, 20, 30 minutes later, it's already full grown. And you're like, how did that happen? They're shocked. You're shocked as they are shocked. But I mean, no, I would say the effect of the head through the table is a bit dodgy. And also the explosions at the end of the film are a bit video.
Yeah. I was going to say,
those are two minor effects.
That
I think kind of bring it down just a bit, but no.
Okay, the thing that I thought dodgy, not like effects dodgy, but cinema sins sort of dodgy, is that acid eating through the floorboards. Why wouldn't they just put a glass container underneath it to catch the acid? You know that acid is non-reactive to glass. It would. I just did all this research last night. I'm totally a geek about, certain things, and I was like, he could have just put a sheet of glass under that, and it would have stopped.
But from it was the heat. It's the heat of the moment, isn't it? You wouldn't have thought of doing it.
No, it was a surprise. They had no idea until they cut the finger of the mother piece, the face hugger. Until they cut the finger, they had no idea that it bled acid. They find out it bleeds acid. And again, they're space truckers. They're not going to know chemistry. They're not going to know that glasses can contain acid. I would not think that at all. These guys are just probably bar flies. I mean, when they're not working, they're probably at the bar. You know what I mean? They're like construction workers or city worker, that kind of thing. I would not assume that these guys are only the science officer who turns out to be a robot. So you know what I mean? It's
right. I would agree with the weak point would be the explosion at the end. I agree with Tim on that. That it didn't look right through all the movie, and then you think, is that it? But as for, shall we say, the iconic role what Sigourney Weaver created as Ripley, but amazing role, but which was originally intended for a man to play, but Ridley Scott decided, no, we're going to have a woman.
As far as I know, the script was written with 7 characters. And he was told they're interchangeable, they're unisex. You can make them a female or a male if you want to. Yeah. Similarly, his casting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm saying his casting of this is amazing. He's got an international cast, an amazing group of people who would go on to do more amazing things. I mean, Hurt and Holm would go on to do great things. Same with Weaver herself. I mean, she was a nobody. This was like her first major role, and that's yet another twist. Because up until Dallas disappears, you think he's the lead. She's like the pain in the butt that keeps complaining and doesn't want to let them in. She's following the rules, and they're kind of making the audience think, "Oh, I can't wait till she gets it." And but the truth is, that's another switch in the middle of the film that she becomes the lead character, and that's brilliant. And she's amazing in this. If you watch her facial expressions, because here's the thing: this is Ripley. This isn't badass super Ripley from the following films.
Right.
Who goes from this experience? This is just an average, what do you call it? Worker in this job, and she's so good with the facial expression she makes, the shock on her face. When Dallas is gone, when they're sitting at the table and she's just like, and she's trying to keep herself under control, and Parker's losing it, so she has to shout at him, "Just shut up!" I mean, because they don't know what to do. The
names in this are also really freaking awesome. Parker's like my brother's name, and it's such a cool name, and Ripley and
Ash.
Kane. Ash. I mean, for crying out loud, it's like Ash versus Evil Dead. It's really fun.
Do you think the role of Ripley would have worked if it was a man?
I don't think so. I don't think so because of the eventually you find out that it's motherhood and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I mean the story was I mean it runs parallel, Ripley and her growing into like a more feminine Ripley versus the alien going into like a more motherly alien.
Yeah. I mean, if they hadn't decided to make Ripley a woman, I don't know how the franchise would have gone along, because she was so made for that role, really.
Right.
I couldn't see a guy playing that role now, but would we have ever known any difference if it was back then?
No, we
would it have been?
not.
Would it have been the same movie? I don't think it would have been the same movie, and I don't think it would have been a success that it was if Sigourney Weaver hadn't played the role.
Yeah,
but damn good actress. Well, Tim's just popped off, but we'll carry on. Going on to the iconic role of Ripley, before that role came up and afterwards, have we had a role for a leading woman like that in any other movies, or is this just like a one-off? Because to be honest, I've been racking my brains today. I've been trying to think of a female role what has been as good and as leading as that in any other movie. Before 1979, or even after 1979 up to the present day, to me, Ripley.
Okay, there is one.
Is there one?
But I'm just gonna throw this out there because people tend to forget that. I mean, it's not in a movie role. It's Barbara Wright in Doctor Who. She was such a badass. I mean, on every level, she fought. She became a queen. She became a god. I mean, she was Mary Sue, and then she was brought right back down to earth, and all the various I mean, there was a small bit where she was romantic towards Ian. I mean, like the whole thing, like, and her motherhood. She mothered Vicky and Susan and really just she was pretty great with animals and great with people and so Barbara Wright. I put that up there.
I can see where you're coming from there. I mean, I wasn't really thinking of TV when I was racking my brains today, but yeah, I can see that. Yeah, but I think Hollywood is really missing out on roles for women like that. And it does need to change because it's proven that women can play a role like Ripley and make it a damn good success.
Okay. How about Maria from Maria the sister Maria Von Trapp from Sound of Music?
Sound of Music. Well, I can't see her seeing off hordes of aliens, but I know where you're coming from. That was a strong leading role. Yeah.
She went from really like and she had lots of twists and turns until she was launched into her power.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Tim, that since Alien, or before or after Alien, about a leading role for a female actress, has there been anything like Ripley in any movies?
Well, I would say possibly the Clarice Starling character in Silence of the Lambs. Possibly, she's not. That's more of a co-lead, even though Hopkins is only on the screen for about 15 minutes total. It's more of a push and give and take of the conversation. But I don't know. It's hard to say. They don't. It's funny.
Yeah, I was just saying that it doesn't seem to be that many roles for actresses as Ripley, as good as that. And as I said, Hollywood.
Even it's an accidental part, because if you hadn't switched that character to a woman, then it would have been a dude that did the film.
That's the question I asked Susan as well. Would it have been such a success if Ripley stayed a man?
I think it would, because the cast was really good, regardless of who survived at the end. And also, again, this movie is all about the twist, the plotting, the unexpected changes as the film goes on. Like I said, even to the last few minutes when it's in the shuttle. So I mean, it would have worked. Would it have been as eventful or
successful
good as it is?
Yeah,
successful. Perhaps, but I mean, it's hard to say. This was early days for Ridley Scott as well. He made he's given other prominent roles to women throughout his films. I mean, look at Thelma and Louise. That was a big deal when it came out. So,
but the parallel between the motherhood of the alien and the motherhood of Ripley that starts this character arc in this movie.
No, that's not this movie. That's in the following film. That's in the Alien.
I know, but it starts in this one. The way she takes care of the cat, the way she tries to guard the rest of the crew. She actually takes charge and tries to protect the rest of the crew, who are her kids.
Well, I'm
just throwing that out there.
Well, like she says, whenever they're outside in the airlock and she doesn't want to let them in, like she complains to Ash later, when they're off the ship, I'm in charge, because she's ranking, she's warrant officer, and so it was her decision not to let them in because of the possible contamination. Of course, for the film to move on, you have to get past that point, but that's the first indication that Ash isn't really who he seems. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but Tim already sort of mentioned earlier the other films in the franchise. But this film, the original 1979 Alien, how does it compare to the sequels? What came along afterwards? Is it better than them, or is it on par with them? What do you think?
They are all really incredible movies. The par, I think it's definitely on par with them. I liked the build up, the space build up in this one. I like the fact that they went to another world in this one, and it wasn't exclusively spaceship corridor You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I like.
The question I asked him was because you've mentioned it earlier on about the franchise, the sequels, what came later. How does it compare to those what followed this movie?
To me, it's hard for me to compare because this one is a masterpiece. This one is. I saw this movie. I think I was 14 or 15, and it was wow. And this was right after the whole Star Wars boom, when you had sci-fi everywhere and stuff. And this was a different. This was the unfriendly universe, not the goody Star Trek, goody Star Wars. It wasn't like that at all. This was the unfriendly, unkind universe. This is what happens when you get in trouble. And when the sequel finally came, which was like 7 years later, wasn't it?
Yes,
it's a different film. It uses these elements, but makes a different type of film. That's an action film. Bring in the Marines. It's an action film. It's less horror and more action, and it continues very well. It sets up a whole new unexpected plot with the mother alien, and that again it expands on what we already know, and that's fine. But this will always be my favorite, just because it was the first, and it is a different kind of film. Again, people would argue and say, "Oh, Aliens is so much better because it's got so much more action," but the truth is, it's a different film. It's a whole different approach to the same stuff.
Yeah. You've got action in Alien as well. You do have action.
Oh yeah.
But I totally agree. As the movies go along, it expands on the original of the history of the alien species, shall we say? And all of them are quite enjoyable. And we'll say we're getting a new one. Is it this year? So
the one that I kind of struggle with is the AVP, Alien vs. Predator.
Yeah.
I mean that's fun, but it's kind of not the same story.
I think that's all just for the shall we say, for the money.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's a fun watch, but I wouldn't put this together with this saga of the Ripley saga, shall we call it? Yeah. So, I liked every bit of this movie, and I say comparing it with the ones what followed, as Tim said, this is a classic. You can compare it, and people do, and the bitch about it's too slow, as Tim mentioned earlier. But it's a different movie. It's setting up the Alien saga, Ripley saga for 1986 when Aliens comes along, and then Alien 3, and But
Alien 3 I'd consider more body shock horror. No, they were all that way. Never mind. Never mind.
Alien 3 had script problems, and the director ended up quitting, I think, because they wouldn't give him final cut. And even today, he distanced himself from David Fisher. He won't even talk about it. It's not a bad film. It's just like it was too many ideas pushed together, and it didn't work out into a cohesive whole. Yeah. I don't hate it though. It's not a bad. It's entertaining. So
yeah, that's it. It's an enjoyable watch, as all four of the original Alien movies are.
The funny lines in this one, the lines became iconic. Your cat just walked behind and reminded me of the
I thought someone moved behind me.
Kitty.
But so we're going to our final say of the movie, and we'll have a final say and we'll score. So, what's your final say, guys?
It's a masterpiece, isn't it? I mean, again, there's a couple of effects flaws, but I mean, I don't think that takes a lot away from it. If you're watching it today for the first time, it is a almost nearly 40 years old movie. It's an example of what they could accomplish at that time, which was 78, 79. I forgot to mention too, one other brilliant directional thing that Scott does is you don't see it much. You don't really get a good look of it until the very end, and even then too, all you see is bits of it. You see its hand here, or you see whatever that thing is that comes out of its mouth. That double mouth action thing, which is insane. But It's
leave them wanting more.
Leave them wondering what the hell they're looking at. Remember the bit when you see its leg creeping up under Lambert? It's about to go up and stab her in the back and pull her to him. They don't show that, but it's implied. In other words, all the stuff you see is implied horror, and it's brilliant, because if they showed you too much or if the alien looked silly, this movie wouldn't have worked at all. But yeah, that's if I'm going to rate this, I'm going to give it a 10, just because it's a favorite of mine. I realized that I should probably give it a 9.75 and take away 2 points because it had or this the not too good explosions at the end. But at the end of the day, it's never ruined my enjoyment of the film. So it's an amazing film.
Brilliant. What about you, Susan?
That's what I say.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It is a really amazing movie. I'm just, my science fiction, I like to be more of the nice universe rather than the scary, ugly universe. I just
the dark side. You don't prefer the dark side.
I don't prefer the dark side. I'm light side all the way. Star Trek, Star Wars, happy, even the scariness of whatever. Yeah, never mind. Doctor Who, of course, but
yeah. For me, I love everything about this movie. It's just a brilliant watch. The sets, as I said before, just awesome. The direction, Ridley Scott directs some brilliant actors, and it is suspense, it's sci-fi, it's horror. The design of the alien, amazing. I'm going to have to agree with Tim. I'm going to give it a 10. Okay, there was a few flaws, with the special effects at the end, with the explosion, but it's still got a 10. I enjoy watching it. I watch it maybe once a year now, because sometimes I just want to go to the dark side, and it helps me. It helps me get there. So, on that note, I would like to thank Susan and Tim, who's just off. Most probably pop back on before we finish. Please subscribe to our channel. Give us a like, give us a dislike. We don't care. Likes, dislikes, it's all the same to us. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you like about the movie, what you hate about the movie, what you like about our cast, what you don't like about our casts. Give us some ideas of what you'd like us to talk about. We like to get involved with our subscribers. Follow us on our Twitter at Geeks Assembled. We've also got a public Facebook group, Geeks Assembled. Get join that. Need some more members there. And Susan's got Susan's got her own channel. If you would like to give it a shout out. Yeah,
it's at DJ Dunamis. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, both on Twitter and on YouTube as DJ Dunamis, and we're doing the entirety of Doctor Who from Unearthly Child all the way through to Survival.
Well, I just hope you've got long enough to do it all.
Yeah, no, book and movie, or book and televised TV show.
So thanks for that, Susan. And on that note, I'd like to say adios, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir. Until next time, we'll be seeing you.
Yeah, and beware the aliens, the face huggers,
the xenomorphs.